And action. And scene.
All right.
Hi, this is Lori.
This is Peter.
And we're with Action Heroes LA with another review. A long time coming. Welcome back.
Yes, and now we're going to review
anyway.
Shane,
come back. Anyway, no, actually we're reviewing a documentary called Laddie. And I don't know if it's an interesting story. I thought it might be. Kind of a reason why I decided to pick this documentary. I decided to purchase it. I was with a client of mine this week, and she was telling me how she doesn't like to go to movie theaters because it's not very comfortable for her. Mm-hmm. And she was telling me how back in the day, her friend and Laddie would host movie nights at their house. Mm-hmm. And because these people were in the movie industry, they would bring the actual reels and have the projectionists. This is way back. Mm-hmm. And they'd have their kids and they would show, whatever movies the studios they were working for. And I thought that was really cool. And she said, "You know who Alan Ladd Jr. is?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know who Alan Ladd Jr. is." And she said, "Oh yeah, Laddie and my Kent, my friend and stuff." And I'm like, "That's the dude that greenlit Star Wars." He's really well known for that. So
yes, but see, you knew that, and a lot of Star Wars people didn't know that. Don't
know that. Yeah, which is interesting because she goes to a convention and asks a lot of Star Wars fans if they. This film is made by the daughter of Alan Ladd Jr. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting. But anyway, I wanted to hearing about that from my client, knowing who he was, and that she's like, "Oh yeah, she used to hang out with this dude." Mm-hmm. And who knows, maybe they got to watch reels of Star Wars at home way back in the day. I don't think she could tell me, but mm-hmm. I thought that was really cool. So Laddie is the documentary about movie executive agent Alan Ladd Jr., not to be confused with Alan Ladd Sr., who was an actor who played Shane. Yeah, because I was looking at him, I was like, oh, because the name didn't click with me. Mm-hmm. And then, watching his clips of his movies, what a badass. Yeah. And then it was like, I heard Shane. I'm like, oh shit, that's Shane. Yeah. So, yeah. And sadly, he died young. And sadly, he and Junior did not have a very great relationship.
Right.
But this guy had quite the career as an executive. He was the head of 20th Century Fox at one time. He's the head of MGM at one time. He had his own production. Paramount. Well, he worked with Paramount when he went independent. But the number of movies this guy was involved in as a producer or the studio head, number of major films is amazing. And if you're an old timer, you'll love some of the movies that I love. Mm-hmm. Night Shift, yes. Classic comedy from the 80s. That was Ron Howard's first film. Right. And it's a very funny movie. I wonder how it holds up. I haven't seen it in so long, but what Michael Keaton was one of his first roles
when he was
too.
Young.
And Shelley Long, who went on to Cheers success in the TV show Cheers, and quite a few people in that. Yeah,
and it was, I think,
of all those movies we picked Night Shift.
I think it was. Maybe the first or the second. I think maybe the second film for the Fonz.
Oh yeah, for Henry Winkler, and when coming right around that time, like when Happy Days was ending and stuff. But
and Barney Rubble.
And Barney Rubble, he's a hell of an actor. Barney Rubble. Okay. I love Night Shift. I used to watch that a lot. Yes. That was a great comedy. But yeah, there's a number of movies. The Omen. My gosh. I couldn't believe. And I forgot that Richard Donner did The Omen. When I think of Richard Donner, I always think of Superman and Superman 2 and Gremlins. And he's done a ton of stuff, but I forgot about The Omen, which scared the shit out of me. and I don't think I've watched it since I was maybe a teenager was the last time I attempted.
Yeah,
And
it's been a while for me. Maybe it's time to rewatch it.
I've thought about that.
Yeah.
And so, because it's the movie that scared the hell out of me that I never would watch horror movies until now.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be a fun one to revisit.
Yes.
There's one scene in that just traumatized me. I had such nightmares about it when I was a kid.
The babysitter?
Okay, this, we're not talking so much about this movie, about Alan Ladd, but it just brought up a lot of memories of going to the movies when we were younger. And like we saw The Omen. We had to pile our whole family into the van to go to the Century Drive-In over here. And I mean, I had no choice because we all had to go together, and I was the youngest, and I was too young to see that. And it just freaked me out, and I was just crying and screaming and did not want to be there. But it just the drive-in experience, it just brought.
But just to kind of run through some of the stuff he did.
Yeah, let's go ahead. I'm like
American Graffiti.
I don't know. He didn't do. No, he did. He did.
Yeah.
He kind of rescued American Graffiti from.
Yeah, because it was.
Nobody wanted it or something.
Yeah.
Didn't think the studios that had it didn't think that it was any good. He's like, no, I love this movie. I wanna put it out. And he just had a knack for really finding. I mean, stuff people would reject and like, no, that's good. And he also really just let the artists. He trusted his artists. He trusted his directors, his writers, his executives. He's like, if he understood that you're talented, I'm going to leave you to do what you do.
Yeah.
And and it's kind of an era, a lost era of the cinema, of movies that is not around anymore.
Yeah.
Because everything's corporate controlled, and it's
and everything is like Morgan Freeman said. Bean counters. Yeah, I mean, they're your test audience to death and all that stuff. Rather than somebody with just pure instinct, is like, I know this is good. Yeah. This is quality. Go do it. Yes.
And
but what I really liked about this documentary is that it told a lot of the inside stuff. Not so much the dirty this and dirty that, but I mean, the feeling when you watch it, and like they'll show you in the documentary. You give it to him on Friday.
Oh yeah.
And Monday or Tuesday you have your
he
answer.
would have his answer. Yeah, he wouldn't. He was, and it's like he was a quiet dude. He wasn't like these outrageous, mean, evil, or ego-driven kind of guys. And and it's really interesting. Really interesting. Look at Young Frankenstein. Another. Oh man.
Yeah,
great. Wow. So many of my...
And even, now looking at Young Frankenstein, I couldn't imagine it. And it was Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks. It was such a good idea of his to say, and by the way, it's in black and white.
It was at another studio that he was pitching it to, and as they were walking, after they did the pitch, and he's walking wild, and he's like, by the way, I'm going to do this in black and white. Right. And I'm like, hold up, what? No, you can't do that.
Yes.
But he took it to Laddie took it and said, yeah, I remember the thing that made the Frankenstein movies when I was young, great, is the black and white made him seem creepier. So he understood that. And just I think about Young Frankenstein. I cannot imagine that movie ever being in color being as effective, as fun.
It wouldn't be.
As funny. It wouldn't be. It would totally lose something.
Yes.
And so it's interesting. This is really, he had an interesting life, interesting creative person. He did, when he was at 20th Century Fox, he did something. He took all the creative people who are spread out all a lot. He put them on the third floor of one building because he wanted them to interact with each other, because he knew it's like great minds. They'd bounce ideas off each other. It's not so necessarily work, but they would make each other better. And I was like, just wow, the forethought, the insight to have that and do something like that, and not to have egos clash. Back then, you didn't have the, who. If you could do that nowadays, that would be amazing. He gave women a lot of chance, and it could have been, like the documentary said, he's the father of 4 girls. So, and in particular, a favorite movie of mine where his maybe, relationship being a girl dad, the movie Alien. The character Ripley, it's been well known, I've heard this several times, the character of Ripley was supposed to be a guy, and they changed it to a woman. Actually, Alan Ladd said, why can't that character be a woman? It was his decision. It was his suggestion. So what an amazing kind of mind, and just just really, I don't know. And it sounds like he was a fan of the movie. He was just somebody who went to the movies when he was a kid, because his relationship with his dad was so non-existent.
And I think that had a big effect on him.
Yeah.
Is that because he, just everything in his life, he was able to say, let the creative people do it.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
They understand it. Like like they say in the documentary, is that back then it was a different way of making the movies, and now you get too many of the bean counters and
the corporate that they want.
Oh, well, we want the movie to do this. Yeah. We want it to do that.
Oh yeah, they're giving too many notes and
and it's like you're not a movie maker.
You're choking the film. It's like, oh, we can't have that because we tested this or this demographic or whatever. They have all their like charts and stats, and and they're trying to make it a science project to judge whether something is going to be successful or not. And you squeeze all the life and creativity out of something that way.
Without him, we wouldn't have had Blade Runner.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
And
Blade Runner wasn't a hit. I remember it not being a hit at the time.
Yes.
But we loved it when we were younger. Still a fan of the movie, and like I said, watching this is like another one I got to rewatch. There's quite a few stuff. I was like, I got to see that. Either I have to see it or I have to rewatch it, because it's a lot of classic movies.
And for a lot of you out there, it will give you a lot of films to go and
check
rewatch.
out. Yeah, to rewatch or to check out, because there's some that I haven't even seen that I've heard a lot about over the years. I know it's a classic, but I just never got around to it.
And to this day, I have him to thank for me knowing how to throw rice correctly.
Why is that?
Because of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, that's right. Rocky Horror Picture Show, too. This dude did Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Well, what he did...
Well, he let
the guy talk to him about it, and it had already been
made.
It had already been out. It had bombed. But
one of his guys that were working for him
said, hey, I want to do this.
I want to take a reel of this to the New Art.
Go do it.
Which is in West LA and still around. And they have midnight showings and stuff. I want to try this. And it just blew up. He's like, do that.
And if you haven't been to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, shame on you.
Wow. I think that was a rite of passage for us.
It was.
A certain generation of us.
You're going to go to the movies with an umbrella, a squirt gun,
some toast,
some rice.
What
Is
else?
There anything else?
You could dress up.
Yeah,
you can dress up like one of the characters.
But you'll have to go to the movie
spray
and
gun,
watch it.
So it can rain.
Yeah, that's
why you have to have the umbrella in there.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Oh man.
Alan Ladd, I am saddened to hear that The Right Stuff, which is one of my favorite movies, was one of his movies, but it was a terrible experience for him, and he still hasn't. He never watched the whole thing. And sadly, actually, Alan Ladd just passed away earlier this month. And this documentary was made by his daughter in like 2019, but for Alan Ladd. But anyway, yeah, The Right Stuff, which I love, and it is a little long, but I still love that movie. I think
and
it's
the
great.
thing is, now
Sadly
that I
overlooked.
know why it's too long, because it was too long for
Yeah.
me, and I couldn't understand
Yeah,
why
they said-
anybody liked it.
Yeah.
He actually took sick,
Yeah.
and he had it chopped down to a
So
nice
probably a
film.
nice running time.
And while he was sick, the bean counters
Oh
decided.
no, I think was it the bean counters that put the movie back?
It was the bean counters and
That
other
put the
executives
the clips back in that he
and
cut
actually
out.
made it longer.
Because
and
that movie's
actually
over
made
3
it-
hours. So
Made it worse.
back then, now 3 hour movies are becoming common, but it's yeah. So that's the story of The Right Stuff.
Yeah.
It's still a good movie.
But go and see this documentary.
Yeah, check
Get
it out.
and
It's
see
on. I purchased it on one of the servers, Amazon Prime and Vudu, or Movies Everywhere, which I have, and glad I did. I got it for a discount, but it's yeah. I'm glad I watched this. It brought back a lot of great movie memories. It brought about how the quality of movies during that era when you didn't have such corporate control and over things, and you just had talented people with, the music business was like this too, and you just had people who knew talent and had faith and said, like, go do what you do. And that's where you get like these great filmmakers, and whether we get an era like that ever again, it's questionable.
Yeah, because
It's happening in
Alan
India,
Ladd
maybe. That's what
Jr. The only other person who I know would do something like that, and he happens to be a real big Barney Rubble fan.
Who isn't a Barney Rubble fan? What are you getting at? Where's this going? Where is this going?
Well, Glenn Stay. If he was
Glenn. Our cousin, my cousin's husband. Yeah. What about Glenn?
he is a big Barney Rubble fan.
Okay. Oh, jeez. Really?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes. He doesn't like green M&Ms though.
What?
So he appreciates the black and white that Young Frankenstein was made in.
Okay. I still don't know where this is going. This sort of randomness, I'm sure you've missed. Probably not. Anyway, so this is the documentary Laddie. I wish I had my thoughts more together on this, but we just watched it before recording this.
Yeah.
But it's a good little documentary, very interesting if you're interested in the history of film, particularly from just the past 50 years. He played a significant role.
Yes.
And it was just nice to watch this and relive like film going experiences before like the super deluxe multiplexes like we have now. Like what was the theater chain they mentioned? Remember, it was like you go to the theater and it was just one screen, or the drive-in. It was especially if you had the drive-in had more than one screen. We were talking about the Century Drive-in and how the airplanes used to fly over, because it's in the flight path of LAX, and so are we. But oh man, we almost got robbed a couple times there. The Century Drive-in in Inglewood. Oh, good times. We pretended like we had dogs and we started barking in the back of the car. It was hilarious.
Oh, that's funny.
And then my mom said something crazy, and as she usually does. She was never threatened by anybody.
Yeah.
She would beat somebody's ass. I don't care. I don't care what kind of thug you were.
Yeah,
you weren't messing with.
Get hurt.
Going up to my mom was the wrong thing to do. She was not the one back then. Anyway, that's Laddie. And oh yeah, I forgot another 6 Degrees of Separation with this movie. I mentioned my client who used to hang out and watch home movies, but they talked about The Omen. I forgot it was produced by Mace Neufeld, who was a major producer back then. And his daughter was a gymnast and trained when my sister was training in gymnastics at the Los Angeles School of Gymnastics in Culver City. Although we had a lot of like movie people, kids.
Yes.
We were hanging out with back then, including Noah, the kid from Neverending Story. That rides a little bit. Anyway, he remember he was in Battlestar Galactica. And he was a terror. He used to curse like crazy. It was fun.
We had just go there. And
we had Hawthorne James, the guy who played Big Red in 5 Heartbeats, and also is the bus driver on Speed. He was our camp counselor.
Oh, man.
Hi, James. And that was fun times. We had Dan Curtis, whose daughter, my sister and his daughter were like best friend, and he did Trilogy of Terror, and was it Winds of War. He did a bunch of horror movies, and then he did a few what were they called back then? Oh shit, miniseries.
Okay.
TV miniseries. So he did a big World War II one that he was really well known for and stuff. And Lucy used to go to his house. He had the little Trilogy of Terror doll in the house, and it would just be her and Tracy and the maid, and it would scare the shit out of her because that little Yaya doll was in there, and it was a big mansion in Beverly Hills and stuff. So she was like shit. I would go to sleep in this big ass empty mansion with the Yaya man. Anyways, this movie just helped bring back good memories, fun memories from growing up in that era as well. So I watched Laddie and relive my life. Let us know what you think in the comments. Check it out. I think it's really, if you're a fan of film, if you're a budding filmmaker, I think it's a good thing to check out.
Yes.
I watched it on Amazon Prime. Yeah, it's on YouTube too, probably, to pay. Yeah, anyway, check it out.
Check it out. It's good.
It's good. We out.
We out.
We out.